Well, hello everybody. It's Trailer Trash Tim. Welcome to the channel. It is Saturday, a little more laid back today. I told you recently on the channel that I was going to be a little more eclectic in terms of what I talk about on the channel. Sometimes, generally we are politics, culture, current events, and that's generally what I'm going to talk about, whatever's in the news. But every now and then I may take you on a camping trip with me somewhere and show you what's what. But today I want to do something I don't think I've ever done before, and that is I want to talk about another YouTuber, and I want to talk about one of the great themes that he covers on his channel, and he gives some advice with regard to Social Security and retirement. And I think the advice that he gives is really bad advice. And the reason that I'm doing this video is because I want to counter what he is saying with what I'm going to say. And it concerns me because I think there may be a number of people who may take some really poor advice, which could greatly affect their life and not in a very good way. Now, if you're watching me outside of the United States, or if you're watching me and you're not an American citizen, this may not be it may not apply to you in your situation in life. But if you are an American in particular, I mean, anybody can watch, of course, but if you're an American in particular and you have concerns, no matter what age you are, about retirement and how you're going to finance your life in your retirement years, if you plan to retire, then this is some pertinent information that I think we need to discuss if we can. Now, I make no claims. I am not a financial advisor. I don't even run the finances in my house. I got another money man. You know what I'm talking about? And I'm not an authority. I'm not all that great with numbers, but I do understand some general things about money and retirement and what you got to have in order to retire if you want to, that I think really apply in this situation. Now, the guy that I'm talking about, his name is Tim Baker, and he has a channel called Sarasota Tim. Let me show you his channel here. This is Sarasota Tim and his channel, Sarasota Tim. He goes by the name Sarasota Tim because when he created his channel, he was living in Sarasota, Florida. And he eventually moved to Boynton Beach, Florida. He went from the Gulf side to the Atlantic side. And he was living in a 16-foot camper, and he was just kind of working some odd jobs, but he was drawing his Social Security at the earliest possible age, which in America right now for this particular demographic would be 62 years of age. As I filmed this on June 29th, I believe it is, 2024, he is 65 years old. Now, before I say anything else about what he's talking about, I just want to say a personal word about Sarasota Tim, who I've never met. I've communicated with some, but I've never met him. But I like Tim. I think he's a great guy. I'm not here to criticize him personally at all. I've got no reason to. I don't have any animus against him whatsoever. I don't want to disparage him. I don't want to say anything negative about him personally, because I think he's a good guy. He's upbeat. He has a positive message. He tries to encourage you in his videos, and his desire has been for some time now to travel in his RV across the country, which he's doing now. And that's kind of what got my attention. It wasn't so much about Social Security, but it was about his adventures with his camper. And a lot of you know I'm into RV living, and I have a camper outside, and my wife and I take weekend trips and what have you, and the occasional vacation with our camper. I'm going to pause this for a minute. I think I need to clean my lens. Bear with me. I'll be right back. Sometimes my lens gets dirty and I forgot to clean it. Maybe that'll make a difference. I don't know. But anyway, I was drawn to Tim's channel because of the RV angle to his channel. And he has since upgraded, got a different RV and all that. And as I record this, he's out west somewhere around Las Vegas or somewhere like that. And touring the West Coast and what have you. And Tim had a small channel about the size of mine, I suppose. But when he started talking about Social Security, that's when he kind of got his legs on YouTube, and his subscriber count shot up into it's now into the 60,000 plus range. So a lot of people were triggered, or the algorithm, I guess, was triggered by what is a popular topic, which is Social Security. Now, I know a lot of my regulars, you know what we usually talk about on this channel, but I know that a lot of you are watching now because you watch Sarasota Tim, or perhaps you're a critic of Sarasota Tim. And so welcome to my channel. And I basically want to use this time and this space to counter what Tim is saying about Social Security. But this is what got his channel to grow by a great number in a very short amount of time. Was he would set aside a video every so often to talk exclusively about Social Security. Now, as time has gone on, you know, if the bigger you get on YouTube, the more critics you attract and the more trolls you attract. And there have been other people who have made their channel on the back of Sarasota Tim, and they have gotten lots and lots of views because they post videos being critical of Sarasota Tim, or mocking him, or maligning him, or lampooning him in one way or another, which I think is really lame. I have tried to interact with Tim on this matter of Social Security in his comments, but he deleted my comments. I was very nice. I was not a troll. I was very kind. I wasn't mean at all, but he just does not want to hear any other ideas or theories with regard to Social Security other than his own. So what I want to tell you today is I want to talk first of all about Sarasota Tim's ideas about drawing Social Security. And I want to talk about his reasons for drawing Social Security when he recommends you draw it. And then I want to talk about my ideas and why I believe his ideas are not only wrong, but a little reckless and a little irresponsible. Now, first of all, let's talk about what his theory is about Social Security. Sarasota Tim is an advocate for drawing Social Security as early as possible. Now, for my particular demographic, which I think is roughly the same as his, I am 63 years old, had to think about it. I was born in 1961. I'm at the tail end of the baby boom generation. And for people of my demographic, if you will, or my age group, shall I say, the Social Security has determined that our early retirement age is the age of 62. Our full retirement age is 67, and the age when you can retire and receive the maximum Social Security payment is 70. So as things stand right now, for me personally, and this would be true of a lot of people that are in my demographic, I could have applied for Social Security last year when I turned 62. Of course, I did not do that. I'm still working. If I took Social Security at age 62, my monthly payment would be $1,700, okay? If I wait until full retirement age, which for me is age 67, then my particular Social Security payment would be about $2,400, a little bit around $2,400, maybe a little bit more. And then if I wait until age 70, that's when you stand to get the most bang for your buck, if you will. You get the most money if you delay your payments until age 70. My payment then would be around $3,000 a month. Now, Sarasota Tim says that it's all a scam, and that they want you to wait until the last possible minute to collect your Social Security benefits. Not really a benefit because you paid for it, but it's a payment. And he says you need to collect Social Security as soon as it becomes available to you, which would be for people in our age group, the age of 62. And this is what he has done. He worked in his working life, but then he quit working that sort of schedule, and he began to draw his Social Security of $1,700 a month, living in Boynton Beach, Florida. Not a cheap place to live, I have to tell you. Of course, he was living in this camper. And then he began to work side jobs. He would work as a sampler. He would go to a grocery store and set up a little table, and he would hand out samples to people, and he would make, I don't know, $15, $16, $17 an hour working on a part-time basis to supplement his Social Security income. Well, if you do the math, of course, that still doesn't add up to a lot of money. Now, I don't know of anybody who could live comfortably on $1,700 a month. I certainly don't know anybody who could live comfortably on $1,700 a month and still working a part-time job. The thinking here is that you're going to just go ahead and retire and collect your Social Security. But if you're still working, albeit a part-time job, you're not retired, my friend. You're still working. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. And, of course, everybody's financial situation is different. But I think, by and large, to collect your Social Security at age 62 is a bad idea. And I'm going to get to why I believe it's a bad idea in just a moment. But I want to continue with Sarasota Tim's argument for drawing it early. There's a couple of big arguments that he makes that have real big flaws in. I've tried to tell him this, but he won't listen to me. He won't tolerate any detractors. On my channel, I'm fine with people commenting. I think I've deleted one person from my channel in the whole time I've had my channel, and that's because they got really personal and really ugly, and there's just no call for that. But this is what Sarasota Tim says. He says that if you turn 62 and you do not draw your Social Security, if you delay drawing your Social Security, let's say for 5 years, Tim says that you are leaving over $100,000 on the table. Now, here's his justification for that. If you take the payment of $1,700, which is a fairly standard payment if you draw at age 62, if you take the payment at age 62, instead of taking it at 65 when it would be a few $100s more, if you don't take the money at 62, that averages out to $1,700 a month for 5 years, which is 60 months. And that's where he gets this figure of $102,000. You just simply multiply $1,700 times 60 months, and that comes out to $102,000. And Sarasota Tim says, look, if you don't take your money at age 62, you're leaving over $100,000 on the table. I'm sorry, but respectfully, that's a really silly argument, and I'm going to tell you why. If you continue working, my friend, from the age of 62 to 67, let me tell you how you will be making far more money if you're an average American. Now, the average salary for the average American in 2024 is just north of $64,000 a year, okay? That's the average. If you're an average American, you're drawing about $64,000 a year in salary. Now, if we multiply $64,000 a year times 5 years, that gives us a grand total of over $320,000. So if you take these two figures, Sarasota Tim's figure of $102,000 and my figure of $320,000, which one do you think is more? If you keep working for that 5-year period from 62 to 67, and you're an average income earner, you're going to earn over $300,000. And the last time I checked, $300,000 is a good bit more than $100,000. And Tim negates to say that when you're leaving $102,000 on the table by not collecting your Social Security early at age 62, he negates to say if you kept working, you'd have a lot more money. So that is a really big hole in his argument, if you ask me. Now, I would love to retire right now. There's a lot of things I would do that I would love to do, but I'm a realist. I am 63 years old, and I realize that the longer that I work, the more I will collect from Social Security. But it's not just that. The longer I work, the more money I can earn from my job, from working, and the more I can save for my retirement. And I won't have to be so dependent on Social Security. And to me, that makes more sense. As things stand right now for me, I plan to work until full retirement age at least, which is 67. And if I still feel good, I've still got my health, I may go ahead and work till 70. I don't know. But it makes no sense to me to retire and then have to start working again, which is what Sarasota Tim does. That's what he advocates. He says retire at 62, draw the $1,700, and then get a side hustle, he calls it, a side job to make up for the difference in income. Well, how does that make any sense? You're still working. Why not just keep working and make more money? Or am I overthinking this? Now, if you have already a great deal of money, if you have taken care of business in your working life, and you've got plenty of money in the bank, you've done a lot of saving, and you get to age 62 and you do the math and you talk to a financial advisor and he tells you you've got plenty of money saved, you could go ahead and retire. Go for it. Go ahead and retire. And you could draw your Social Security at age 62, and it would just be, a little cherry on top, but you don't have to depend on that to get by, to meet all of your obligations. That makes sense. But for someone who is going to totally depend on Social Security for their income, my friends, and then just supplement that with a part-time job, that makes no sense to me at all. So I believe this argument is a poor one, to say the least. When you just contrast the money you would make in that 5-year period of time, would I rather leave $102,000 on the table that represents 5 years of Social Security income, or would I rather leave over $300,000 on the table by retiring early? This is kind of a no-brainer. Now, let's get to the second point that Sarasota Tim talks about a lot when he's dealing with Social Security. And by the way, I have to say, I don't say this as an insult, but Sarasota Tim is a novice. He is not an expert on these matters. He is not a CPA. He's not a financial planner. He has no advanced business degrees or anything like that. He's just like I am, a regular guy. He's certainly not an expert, and I am definitely not an expert, and I'm happy to tell you that. But you need to understand that anybody who does dispense financial advice to people, they kind of need to know what they're talking about. And if you're listening to them, you need to do your legwork and make sure that they know what they're talking about and that you're getting good advice. I think it's far better to get financial advice from a professional, which I am not. All I'm doing is countering. This is one regular guy who's countering another regular guy's arguments, which I think are porous, to say the least. The second thing that Sarasota Tim harps on when he's talking about Social Security is the average life expectancy in America. Now, the average life expectancy, as I filmed this, and I've checked this with at least 5 different sources, but they all seem to agree that the average life expectancy right now for an American, I believe it's for a male, is 77.5 years. 77.5 years. So Tim is saying this: look, you're going to be dead in just a few short years. You need to go ahead and start living. go ahead and quit he calls it a prison job. Anybody who has a job that they get up and go to every day, he says you're working a prison job, which I find, quite frankly, a little insulting. My job is not a prison job. I don't dread my job. I'm not out digging ditches. I think it's kind of silly to call all jobs a prison job. Well, he says you need to quit your prison job and go ahead and buy an RV and start traveling, or go do this or go do that. Just go ahead and get your Social Security check. And if you need more money, go get a part-time job, side hustle. Well, that's no better, in my opinion. Go ahead and start living, because he harps on this constantly, because the average life expectancy is 77 years, and you're going to be out of here before you know it. So you need to quit your prison job and start living right now. But he evidently does not understand what has already been established, which is simply this. He doesn't say this part of it because I don't think he understands it. If you live as an American to the age of 71, if you live to the age of 71, things change. Then the average life expectancy is 85.5 years. Now, as I said, I'm 63 years old. I'm in, I think, pretty good health. Now, I can't predict the future. I may go out tomorrow and get run over by a steamroller. I mean, I might get hit by a bus. None of us know what's going to happen tomorrow. That is true. But if you live a normal sort of life and you're in reasonably good health, and you look at the averages that are out there, if you can make it to age 71, your average life expectancy goes up to 85.5 years, which is over 14 years more than the age of 71. Okay. Average life expectancy is 77. But if you make it to 71, then your life expectancy shoots up to 85. So here's the question. Do you really want to start drawing your Social Security at age 62, which is going to be roughly $1,700 a month, and have to live on $1,700 a month for well over 20 years? Do you want to be in your 80s just pulling in $1,700 a month if you have no other savings? Do you think you're going to make it on that? Let me tell you something. If you're completely dependent on Social Security income for your retirement years and you make it to age 80, my friends, you better be living in a treehouse or something, because if you're having to do what Tim says, he says, draw your Social Security and go get a side gig. Do you want to be working a side gig, a side hustle, a part-time job when you're 80 years old? I sure don't. But he doesn't factor this in. This is very real. If you make it to 71, your average life expectancy is 85. And he is basically saying everybody's going to be out of here if you're an average person by the age of 77. So go ahead and draw your Social Security now. That comes from the source for that, by the way, is what's called the Period Life Table from the Social Security Administration. Now, there's one last thing I want to say about Sarasota Tim's Social Security argument. This is something he never talks about in his videos on his presentations on Social Security, and it's simply this. I said this to him in a very kind way, a benevolent way, and he deleted my comment. So I'll say it here. The American government, my friends, as I sit here making this video, is over $35 trillion in debt. I talk about that a lot on my channel. Now, I know that the Social Security Administration is, in a sense, its own entity, but I'm telling you, if you are placing all of your faith in Social Security income, you are placing all of your faith ultimately in the American federal government, which is in an unfathomable indebtedness situation. Are you going to put all of your eggs in the Social Security basket? Do you believe that there is an absolute guarantee that you're always going to get a check from the federal government. And maybe you will. I actually think that you will. But because of inflation, how far is that check going to go? How far is a $1,700 a month payment going to get you in life? I couldn't live on $1,700 a month. I don't know many people who could. Should you really put all of your eggs in that basket, in the Social Security basket? My advice to anyone is to work as long as you can, as long as you're in good health, and as long as you're enjoying your work. And if you don't enjoy your work, then pursue another line of work, perhaps. My advice is to save as much money as you possibly can. My advice is to do everything that you can to make your situation where you're not dependent on Social Security income to live by. And when you do finally draw your Social Security, it'd be nice to have that check, but you're going to keep on living whether you have it or not. If you've got a pension, if you've got 401k, if you have CDs, if you have real estate investments, these are far better investment vehicles, my friends, than Social Security. Wouldn't you agree? I'm going to tell you my real feelings about Social Security. Now, of course, I have Social Security coming to me one day because, of course, like most Americans, I have no choice in the matter. You have to pay into Social Security. But I believe that ultimately Social Security is a scam. If we were able to take all the money that we pay into Social Security and put it into a private investment vehicle of some sort, we would be far better off in the long run, and we would be getting a much greater ROI, a return on our investment, than we do with Social Security. I have said many times, if the Social Security Department wrote me tomorrow and said, look, we're going to write you a check for every penny you've ever paid into Social Security and send you that check, but we're never going to send you anything else, I would say, deal. You got a deal. Then I would take that money and invest it in a more sound financial investment vehicle of some sort and get a far greater ROI. I hope this video helps. I hope those of you that are joining me today from the Sarasota Tim channel will understand I'm not here to slam him personally. I'm not here to blast him. I'm not here to mock him or troll him or any. I like Tim. I think he's a great guy. I really do. I'd like to have dinner with him sometime. He'd be fun to be with, play around the golf with him. My problem is with his theories on Social Security and his idea that you should draw it early and then go out and work a side job to supplement your income. I think that's really bad advice, generally speaking, unless, of course, you've already got a boatload of money and you want to go ahead and draw your Social Security. If that's the case, then go ahead, knock yourself out. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Thank you to my regular viewers for bearing with me while I cover this. This has been on my mind for quite some time. I thought I'd just go ahead and make the video. Those of you who have joined me from Sarasota Tim fans, thank you for joining me. I welcome you to this channel. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel if you would. If you would like to get the greatest health and nutritional supplements money can buy at wholesale prices, go to jointriplet.com. If you're interested in starting your own business, you could go there as well, jointriplet.com. All the relevant links to get a hold of me are down below. All of the my email, my snail mail, buy me a coffee. If you find this of value, you're more than welcome to do that. Thank you, everybody, so much for indulging me today in this video about Sarasota Tim and his ideas about Social Security. Now you have my ideas about Social Security. I simply encourage you to do your homework and make wise decisions after consulting with real financial professionals. Do yourself a favor. You don't want to fumble this ball. Thanks, everybody, for watching. This is Trailer Trash Tim. I hope you have a great weekend.